Taehyung looked at Jungkook's shocked face. They blushed under his gaze and lowered his eyes. Jungkook looked guilty and ashamed, and he was embarrassed to say this. But whatever he did today, he liked it. So Jungkook, feeling sorry, made the upset. They watched him, opening his mouth, probably apologize, but they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear him say that he was sorry for giving him what he liked. Hurriedly, they ran out of the room, into hymns, slamming the door shut. They leaned against it and started bending. What was happened? They swallowed down the lump in his throat and walked inside the washroom to prepare his bed. They opened the tap to sprinkle water on his face. His gaze found himself in the mirror, and starred gaps were left his mouth. When his eyes landed on the neck, the angry red on their neck, glaring back at him, telling they that he indeed marked him. The pale skin, or blood flew on his neck, indeed his cheeks. His eyes were shut and they remained about the cold lips on his hot skin. Why? Why couldn't they hate him? What he did? Why did he want more? He got a little bit of that taste. That's new. That's new. A new emotion. And that scared him. After a sleepless night, they got up for the bed and took a shower. They had university, and sooner he got ready, that more easily he could avoid coming face to face with Jungkook. The blush just about his lips on his skin, biting his lips. They hovered his head and the knock and thinking about going out. What if he bumped with him? That would be awkward. Signing, they yawned and opened the door and walked downstairs like dog with on his tail. They looked over his shoulder but didn't find him anywhere, so they left the house. The driver was taking him, and he was no more. In university, they told him that he was alright and coming back on his own, and the man having no order for his boss and drove away. Hey, Inwo jogged over him with a thick bundle of notes clanged against his chest. How are you? He asked. Both get involved in talking and they walked to their class. At lunchtime, a sudden thought made the gaps. He placed a cock on the table in front of him and stood up with wide eyes. What's wrong? Inwo asked, glaring at him. Jungkook. Oh God, I'm so stupid, they muttered. What's wrong with him? You're being weird, Dee. He raised and perfectly plucked brows at him. It had been an accident and I was supposed to be there with him today. Oh God, why must I be so stupid? They picked up his phone and unlocked it. Inwo stood up and formed. Accident? What kind of an accident? And how can you even forget he's your husband? He crossed his arm. It's just an accident. He had stitches over his head. That looked at me. I was sitting here like nothing happened. They dialed his number and pressed the phone on his ear. That's weird, Inwo murmured. You live with him, and I don't understand. Yes, they heard. And the voice, on the other hand, it's made his skin picked in a good way. They swallowed. Jungkook, where are you? They was guilty because he had convinced him to stay home, and now he was the one even there. How can he feel about that? Office, he said in a tone that he usually used with his employees. Was he mad at him for leaving? Office? What are you doing there? I'm busy right now, he said. Okay, he was definitely mad, but he shouldn't have gone to the office today. Well, what do you expect? If he ignored you after you both kissed, that's how would you feel? He must be feel like an idiot. They signed and bit his lips. They had to go and drag him out of the office because there was no other way. He could take care of himself. Right. Okay. Bye. They mumbled and pressed the end call button. Looked nervously at Inwo. He gave him an look. Can you drop me at his office? He's mad at me for ignoring him. Sure. But why are you ignoring him? He said and they walked toward the parking. They blushed, but didn't say any word. About last night, Inwo kept waiting for Tae to answer. But when he didn't, he sighed and shook his head. His friend was crazy. Later, Jungkook was drawing notes on a piece of paper. His pen was oozing with anger, and that he was feeling when he walked up in the morning expecting to see his wife. He was extremely annoyed and upset that they had left without even having a look to him. Yesterday he was acting all lovey-dovey toward him, like he cared about him more than anyone. If he cared, then he won't have to leave without a care in the world. When he promised him that he would stay at home with him. Hour of anger, he ignored his voice in his head and went to his office. He had work to do, so he didn't need to worry about plenty things. He knew he made a mistake by kissing Tae, but why he made at him? If he didn't want, then he could stop and ignore Tae like he didn't exist. And then they had the nerve of call and act like he totally forget about his existence. What a drama. A knock was sounded on the door, making him even more annoyed. He glared at the door before breaking. Come in, but the person that entered made him pull his hair out. Wow, more drama. They stood inside the office and asked for Jungkook for the receptionist. They were not letting him meet because they didn't have any appointment. They was annoyed now. He had to pass so many humble and ask so many people about the direction of his office. Groaning, they used his golden card and told them. I'm his wife. I need to see him, and you can even ask him that. They told him to the receptionist. The girl watched her, like she was doing X-ray, and they signed in annoyance and glared at her. I'm about to make a scene here. If you don't let me through, they treated. The girl's eyes widened before she nodded, and let him pass. They soon was on his destination floor. After 3 more, they was finally able to meet his husband. They knocked on the door, but the secretary told him to go straight, and because he was free, they shrugged and cracked the door before he pushed it open, but his side made the gaps and lowered his eyes on the floor. He was calm and composed by that thrashing in his chest, and breaking in his eyes made him anything but calm for inside. There, standing in front of him, was a woman who had his arms wrapped around Jungkook's neck and held his waist. They jumped back as soon they entered, but he had seen enough. It hurts. It hurts like thorns picking his skin because he told him that there was no one else. Why did he lie today when the scene in front of him clearly saying something else? They couldn't lift his eyes. He felt like he was their privacy. Sorry, they stammered, blinking back the tear they were about to fall. For his sakes, what hurt the most was Jungkook lied to him. They was about to shut the door when Jungkook's voice stopped him.